What is going on? It is Fight Season MMA, and today I want to make a video talking about Conor McGregor trolling MMA fans yet again. This man is back in the gym, hitting pads, doing what every MMA fan wants to see of him, except sign a contract, and that's something crazy to say. Conor McGregor had a fight at UFC 303 against Michael Chandler, and there, yet again, he pulled out of that fight. He said he would never pull out of a fight. He ended up breaking his toe, couldn't fight Chandler on the night. Alex Pereira stepped in as the main event, but Conor McGregor still is adamant about getting back in that UFC octagon, and he has just posted more video of him training, working out, saying that he's ready to face Chandler in December. But apparently there has been some other rumors inside the UFC that have been broken by some analysts, by some former fighters, saying that this fight could possibly happen in 2025. And we'll get right back into that in a second. But first off, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to help the channel grow. And while you're down there, you might as well hit the post notifications just to always stay notified when UFC content releases daily. But let's jump right into the video of Conor McGregor trolling the MMA fans, possibly who his next opponent is going to be. That is presumably Michael Chandler, but there's some other individuals saying that they want to fight Conor McGregor, and when Conor McGregor could possibly return to the octagon. So I just want to talk about Conor McGregor's videos that he's released back on the internet and what this could possibly mean. Is Conor McGregor trolling? Is he actually meaning to get back inside the octagon? What does Dana White think about all this? So Dana White has kind of talked about briefly of how Conor McGregor has been blowing up of his phone up over the past couple of weeks, saying that he wants to take UFC 310 in December, presumably against Michael Chandler. Now, real quick, we'll get into who he's going to probably fight. It is still going to be Michael Chandler. Now, there's a couple individuals, namely Dan Hooker, who is saying that he is a better fight than for Conor McGregor rather than Michael Chandler, and that I just don't believe is true. I think Chandler's waited this long. He's done this just completely outrageous idea of not fighting for 2 years to get this fight with Conor McGregor. So I do think that Michael Chandler securing the fight with McGregor is just a given at this point. He's been loyal to the company. He's done the tough thing, and he's waiting his turn just politely. So I think that Chandler deserves this fight. But who is McGregor? When is he going to come back? And what is he truly doing out there? Because I know he's been showing things about getting ready. He's been hitting pads and he's been, doing all this stuff. But there's also been videos of Conor McGregor off a massive slide on his yacht and other different crazy things for McGregor. So what is truly happening for Conor McGregor? And I just think Conor McGregor, you're not going to take the party life out of him no matter what happens. And I think that that is the biggest thing to remember. Conor McGregor has so much money. He has so many luxuries. He does so many things in his off time. I think he is just accustomed to a life of partying, of just celebration, and all that different type of stuff like that. So I do think that he wants to repay the UFC to get back into the octagon, but it happening is a completely different thing. Now, if it does happen, I have heard from a couple different people a possible timeline. Now, Dana White said from Conor McGregor himself, he wants to headline UFC 310 in December. And if that is true, that would possibly mean all the rumors of Bilal Muhammad and Shavkat Rakhmonov wouldn't be true. Possible headlines of, I know Kamaru Usman versus Shavkat Rakhmonov was targeted for UFC 310. Now, that could still be on the card, but there would just be some other mid events that probably wouldn't be there at UFC 310. Now, the one thing I did hear, and this was released off Chael Sonnen's YouTube channel, if you have not subscribed to that, Chael Sonnen is a great follow on YouTube or a subscription on YouTube. He gives MMA content daily, and I'm a big Chael Sonnen fan. But he was talking about of how Conor McGregor is planning on coming back, or the UFC is planning on returning with Conor McGregor in January of 2025 in California. Now, that would be a perfect time to put Conor McGregor back in the spotlight. Conor McGregor's main places I would tell him to fight would be four places. It would be Las Vegas, would be NYC, would be Miami, or would be somewhere in California. And those would be the biggest places, in my opinion, to get revenue. Now, there's places all over the country that you would be able to fill out an arena with Conor McGregor, but to be able to have the commodities and all the fans around him and all the ESPN travel that we're going to get, because I know when Conor McGregor was going to fight at UFC 303, ESPN First Take was going to go with them and do all their stuff. So Conor McGregor fighting is an entire process that has to be done. And so getting a big enough place and getting a metropolitan area that would be able to hold this, but also be an amazing place for fans to go, namely Vegas, New York, Miami, or California would be a best place to do. But now let's go a little bit deeper in California, because where would it really be a place to have this held? And I think it would be in the Honda Center at in Anaheim, California, namely some events that have been taking place there. We had UFC 270, Ngannou versus Gon was at the Honda Center, and the most recent event at the Honda Center was UFC 298, Tuporia versus Volkanovski, and that was a great event. The Honda Center has always put on great events, a great arena, all different type of stuff like that, but I could definitely see Chandler versus McGregor going down in early January, or in January at all, the early part of 2025 as Conor McGregor's return fight. I know McGregor has 2 fights left on his contract, so presumably Dana White's not going to let that go. Dana White is going to hold McGregor to that statement, so we at least got 2 more fights out of Conor McGregor prior to him going and seeking out other opportunities with different organizations, maybe possibly boxing Nate Diaz, possibly boxing Jake Paul, possibly boxing someone like Mike Tyson. We never know what Conor McGregor could do outside of the MMA octagon. And he's already made so much money. He would only be interested in doing stuff that would gain him more money and gave him more notoriety to his different companies, him putting a specific sponsor share in there, and him owning the rights to the promotion because of Conor McGregor's just wealth and status like that. So I do think that there is some aspects of doing that for Conor McGregor after his career, but do I think Conor McGregor is trolling? And that is the big question I wanted to pose, because Conor McGregor posting this little training clip is kind of him hinting that he wants to get back at the octagon. And I think it's true, and I also think it's false. I think it's true that Conor McGregor might have the urge to get back in the octagon. He might want to fight. He might have that energy to do so. But does Conor McGregor really want to step in there with Michael Chandler? Because that is who the UFC is pushing. Because Michael Chandler is an incredibly hard fight for any fighter inside the UFC. Now, I know Chandler is 2-3 in his UFC career, but let's break down who he's beat and who he hasn't beat. He beat Tony Ferguson, and he beat Dan Hooker. Great fighters. The 3 fighters he's lost to Justin Gaethje, he's lost to Charles Oliveira, and he's lost to Dustin Poirier. And those 3 fighters are either champions, interim champions, or the top tier of the lightweight food chain. So I do think that Conor McGregor coming back against someone like Michael Chandler is an incredibly dangerous fight for him. But I do think that there is a possibility of it happening. I know Dana White is super adamant about getting Conor McGregor back in there. We all thought it was going to be in July of this year at International Fight Week, but it could happen sometime soon in January of next year. And for what I've been hearing around the MMA community and what of other creators and other sources have been saying, I would book possibly a fight for Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler to headline a card, UFC 311 in Anaheim, California, in January of next year. Now, this could be in the Staples Center. It could be in some other arena other than the Honda Center. But if I had to put my money on it, the UFC loves the Honda Center. They have a deal with the Honda Center. If I had to guess, Anaheim, California would be the home to headline Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler after all. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and please let me know what you think down below in the comment section about Conor McGregor possibly returning very soon. Is Conor McGregor trolling with these videos that he's putting out? Is he just trying to get more fame, more just being in the loop in the moment, or is he actually genuinely concerned about getting back inside the UFC octagon fighting? Now, I am skeptical about him fighting yet again, but I do think that there is a slight possibility, and the reason I keep making videos on it is Conor McGregor is technically still under contract with the UFC, and that provides Dana White a very big thing to allow him to fight. Conor McGregor is easily the biggest star in the UFC, no matter if he has the belt, no belt. He just the name alone is the biggest thing in the UFC right now, and the Dana White is always going to want to put on the biggest fights, the biggest time, in the biggest places, and I think that the Honda Center in Anaheim, California at UFC 311 would be an immaculate place to put on McGregor v. Chandler, the fight that needs to go down for Michael Chandler's sake and the UFC's sake. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to help the channel grow. And while you're down there, please turn on the post notifications just so you guys can always stay up to date with the most recent MMA content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon with more UFC content and news.